Hi everyone. So today is a gorgeous day outside. There's lots of sunshine and I'm gonna go do a little bit of maintenance in my flower beds, but it's also super windy. So some of the cleanup I was gonna do today I'll save till tomorrow, but I am gonna go around and try to do a little bit of like fertilizer, springtime things. And one of those, some of my hydrangeas add something called soil acidifier. I'm telling you this in the garage because it's so windy outside. I'll show you what I'm going to do out there, but I'm going to try to explain it now because I think the wind will make it hard to hear. But this is something, and I use the Espoma brand. I live in an area in central Ohio where our soil tends to be not very acidic. So certain hydrangeas, the ones that I have are a flower known as lace cap, and I will find the exact name and I will add it to this video later, but they can be either pink or blue depending on the level of acidity or alkaline level of your soil. My soil, they would tend to be pink if I didn't do anything. I would like them to be blue, or at least start off the summer blue, and then I don't always add more of this in the summer, but I could if I wanted to keep them very blue. I kind of like how they start to turn a little blurplish as the summer goes on, so I don't give them as much in the summer, or sometimes depending on how they're looking, I don't give them any more at all. But this is something that I will do in addition to adding a little bit of fertilizer. So this just helps turn the color, and you're going to want to read the directions on the bag to know how much you need. And I have just put some in a bucket. I'm going to use a little scoop and I'm going to sprinkle it around. You want to put it around what's called the drip line, which is, so if this was my plant, you look to see where the branches are going to tend to end, and then that would be what's considered the drip line. So you would put the fertilizer kind of around the base of the plant but out a little bit, so that because the roots are out a little bit, and so that's what you're looking for is as the location to put this. And you just sprinkle it around, and if you're going to be getting rain in the next day or two, I don't bother to water it in, as long as it's not in an area where the wind would blow it away. It just needs to be soaking into the ground, and we're getting enough rain right now that I think the rain will take care of it for me. So I am going to watch to make sure that all this wind isn't going to blow it away, and if so, then I'll hook up the hose and put a little bit of water on it to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. So this, plus I'm going to add a little bit of fertilizer. Last year I used from this same company, Espoma, something called Plant Tone, which works fine, but this year I'm going to try one that it's a little bit more meant for things that flower. Rose Tone, which obviously, of course, you could also use this on roses. I don't have roses. Roses don't do well with me. I may try them again sometime in the future, but the ones I tried last year didn't work well. So, but this also can be really good for things like hydrangeas. So that's what I'm going to try this year, and we'll see how it goes. But I'm just going to give everything kind of a beginning of the year or beginning of the season as they're getting ready to really start busting out and putting on lots of growth. Give them something to help them be as strong as possible. So again, I'll read the package to see how much. I'm going to also just use my little scoop in my bucket to do that, and then they'll be ready to start really exploding with their new growth for this year, and should be able to do it in a very healthy way. So let's head out and I'll get this stuff started spreading. All right, don't know if you'll be able to hear this, but here's one of them, and you can see where the branches come out to, and I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit, kind of zhuzh it around, because I got a little too much right there. And then I do wear gloves just to be on the safe side, but this product is very organic, and so you really shouldn't be having to worry too much if you get it on your hands. But just like anything, you don't really want to leave it on there. So that's kind of what it looks like. I'll do essentially the same thing with some of the fertilizer, and then these guys will be in great shape, ready to go. Hi everyone, it is a gorgeous day here. Yesterday was so windy. I was going to try to go out and do my spring fertilizing and spreading the preen everywhere, but it was just too windy. But so today is gorgeous, and I'm going to take advantage of this lovely weather. So let me show you what we're going to get ready to do. I have rose tone from Espoma that I'm going to put on all of my hydrangeas to help them have a little bit of the extra that they need to produce the beautiful flowers. I could just use plant tone on everything, but the prices were about the same, so I decided this year to try some of the different varieties and see if it makes a difference. So we'll see. And then I have quite a few smaller, younger trees that we planted last year, so I'm going to give everybody that is a tree a little bit of tree tone. Again, hopefully maybe being made for the trees, that would help give them a little more of the things that they need. And I don't necessarily have fruit trees, but I do have several trees that are ones that flower. So things like crab apples and ornamental plum trees. There are a few others like it's a serviceberry, it's a serviceberry tree, and a few red buds. So I hope that these will help those be even more beautiful. And if maybe not this year, it'll give them some things to pull up into their insides. Sorry, not very scientific, to help them be even stronger and more beautiful next year. So gardening is one of those things that takes patience, and sometimes you have to wait a year or two to see all the results. But and then I've got some holly tone that I'll put on things that are evergreens. I don't really have any azaleas. Azaleas in my area, well, even when I lived in Texas, they just were kind of fussy, kind of like roses, and I'm not a fan of fussy. I'm all about things that I can plant, give a little bit of attention to maybe when they're young, and then let them just grow and be beautiful and fairly low maintenance. I won't say no maintenance because a lot of things do need maybe an early spring trim or a late fall trim, depending on what they are, maybe a little bit of selective pruning, etc. But that's about as much as I want to mess with. So holly tone will go on the things that are evergreens, which I don't have a lot of, so this bag should last me a really long time. And I did go ahead and get slightly bigger bags because I am also all about getting the most for my money. And when you check out the unit rate, these are less per pound. So, I don't think it'll go bad. So that's the plan with all of this. And then once I get these specialty types of things done, I will go back around with some plant tone and give those other things a good shot to be ready for some spring growing. Then I will also buzz around everywhere, and I mean anywhere that's like a flower bed where weeds might be something that have to be dealt with, and give everything a really good shot of this preen weed preventer. It will not kill anything that's already started to germinate, but any weed seeds that are in the flower beds that haven't germinated yet, this should help provide some control for several months. And this was my favorite little tool that I bought a couple years ago. It's a Scott's Whiz, battery operated. Does a fantastic job of spreading the preen for me in an even manner. I've also used it to spread grass seed. So you just want to be careful if you're using this for kind of both of those types of things. You would not want to spread grass seed with this if there's still a little bit of preen or something like that in the mechanics of it, or you will have grass seed that just won't germinate. So anyways, great little tool, not terribly expensive, wonderful addition to my tool collection. So everything's going to get either one of the types of Espoma tones and some preen. So I'm heading out. I'll get a few shots of that and let you see how it looks. This is the other thing that I'm going to put on trees that was recommended by my local nursery when I bought a bunch of younger trees this last year. They said to put this on everything except, or that I have, except for I bought a bald cypress. That's the only one. It is going to hopefully provide some insect protection. It also has some slow release fertilizer. So my hope is that this will just do what it says, provide some protection, a little bit of extra feed, fertilizer. And so as I'm putting the tree tone on, I did not read the bag when I bought it. It sounds like its directions are calling for me to put a lot more of the tree tone on per tree than what I thought. So I am going to go lighter than it says, but that is also probably hopefully going to be okay because this will also provide some fertilizing effect. So that's going to be the double shot that I'm going to give my trees this year, is some of this and some tree tone. Let's go see what that looks like. So to apply my tree tone, actually all of these, I am using something that was the guy at my local Ace Hardware. I told them I need something. I was thinking just like an inexpensive plastic like measuring cup, the kind you use in the kitchen, that had a handle. They found me this. It's actually a feed scoop, I think they said, but if you take it, it's got little lines in there. I don't know if you can see that with the sun, but it has half cup, 1.5, and 2 cup markings, which is going to be ideal. So it's got a nice handle. It's just plastic. It was very inexpensive. I can just go in here and scoop, and that gives me, sorry for the sniffles, about a 2 cup measure of the fertilizer. And I've already done this tree. You can see I'm just spreading it around approximately where the branches would end. So we call that the drip line. You can see I got a little close there. So let's see if I can do better on this one. You can see they're starting to bud up. This one is a crabapple, and it'll have white flowers, hopefully. So I'm just going to, and probably ideally I would pull the mulch away, but I'm not going to take the time for that. So I am just sprinkling this around, and then I'll double check our weather report. But as long as we're going to be getting some rain, I am going to let the rain just move that down into the soil. I don't think it's going to be blown away or messed with, but I may come back and just do a little bit of this just to kind of help it work in. It's probably the ideal option, but I've got a lot of things to put some fertilizer and preen down today, so I may not take the time. So I already did the little plum right there. I've got 5 more of these to do, and then quite a few other things to do in the other beds. So let me get to it. So just to give you an idea of what it all looks like after preening everything, I tend to put it on fairly thick so that the yellow speckles that you see everywhere, that is the preen. And so this area has been preened. All of the trees and hydrangeas have been given their form of tone. The only thing left in this space will be to do some plant tone on all of the other plants and shrubs and things. That's gonna have to wait for another day. I'm getting a little tired. And then next week, fresh mulch. So this area should be looking nice and tight and tidy and ready for all of the things to just really take off for the spring. So thanks for joining me here in Aunt Susan's garden. And I'm gonna zoom in on some of the bulbs that have already started to pop just to finish us off.